I'm going to start with Sam and Jarrod and ask you this question. When you finished watching the final edit of it, what was your overriding feeling? Was it one of hope, of despair, anger?
Fear.
Of lawyers?
No. Well, just, I suppose the thing is you get so close to it. I mean, we've been working on this for 4 years, and it's a great cliche of filmmaking. I mean, at this moment, I should probably give a shout out to our wonderful editor, David Fairhead, who's done a fantastic job. Who's somewhere.
Put your hand up, David. Where are you? Over there in the corner.
You know, we've had lots of great people who've worked on the film. Graham Taylor sat just there. Mike Rolt as well, done wonderful jobs. You know, and the editors do not get enough thanks in this sort of situation. They really help you to take very naive dreams of what people might want to watch and actually turn it into a story. And yeah, it probably was fear, you know, because our previous rough cut just before, you know, because we were on a real deadline to get ready for Sheffield a month ago, and you know, we had 5 or 6 people. We watched the rough cut. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good reaction, and they were like, so many problems, and we had a week to fix it, you know, and so it was. We were pretty petrified at that stage, but we always knew what we wanted to do. And I suppose that really the moment we realised that people were responding, and I really hope you guys have responded and not sort of just clapping because you feel polite, although that's okay, it's nice, at least we get claps. But, you know, that was Sheffield, you know, where we got, people were laughing at the right moments, or even the wrong moments, we don't mind as long as they laugh. And then they came out, you know, that they came out angry, you know, and that was when we realised we'd done our job, because I tell you what, after 4 years, you know, we're angry, you know, at the way the game, a great game, is being run into the ground by people who we are trusting to run the game with the best interests at heart. And I hope what we've shown you is that that's not happening.
So, Jarrod, has that anger destroyed any optimism that you have, that cricket can become the game that you want it to be?
There were times making the film when it did. There were times when, you know, you just throw your hands up and you're like, I cannot believe no one cares about this. When the Big Three takeover happened and no one seemed to care. Yeah, I think The Guardian wrote about the fact the ICC office might move to Cardiff. What I would say, one of the biggest things that ever happened to sport, and that was the way it was reported in a lot of places. The first time we showed the film, though, and everyone got angry and emotional and into it, that was when it was almost like going to a cricket game, and maybe you'd been to a bunch of dud ones beforehand, and you finally had that good game, and, you know, everything happened, and the crowd got involved, and I went, do you know what? Cricket fans do care. Maybe it hasn't been laid out in front of them properly before. Maybe they haven't been called to arms correctly before, but they do care about the game. This is there are 1 billion people around the world. If we can show as many as we can this film, we really believe that we can do something. So I was optimistic.
Lalit, you have the connections, you have the money, you have the power. You probably have less friends than you once had.
Yes.
What do you think you can do to perhaps unseat your good friend, Mr. Srinivasan?
It's not unseating my good friend, Srinivasan.
Not your good friend either, to be fair.
I think that's true. The issue doesn't lie there. The issue lies, how do you clean the system with everybody in the system that has got a vested interest? It doesn't stop or start at Srinivasan. Yes, he's at the pinnacle head. Even when the Lodha committee last week passed the ruling that the Chennai Super Kings and the Rajasthan Royals should be banned, only for a period of 2 years, I think that's too short. Number one, they should have been banned for life, because under the rules that I framed, under the clauses, if you bring disrepute to the game, which clearly has been the case, there is no second chance. You cannot be given a second chance. Cricket is very dear to all our fans and to people around the world. You need to set an example. You need to be out there setting rules for corruption, for betting. We don't have rules and regulations which are stringent enough like we have in this country. Every country should have the same. You have stringent rules for insider trading in companies. You have no stringent rules for a sport where $2 billion a day is bet. The ICC, all the other member boards don't have a betting expert that looks into betting. There is no anti-corruption unit. So it's a system. It's not one person. It's the entire system across the board. Every country is only interested in talking to the broadcaster, being one broadcaster, that is it, and that being News Corp, which actually funds the entire proposition. And there are, whenever we did try to bring other broadcasters, you will find, I did that all the time and ban News Corp all the time, you would find them coming back, and the buck stops there. And I've been saying that. You probably get the answer 3 years from now, because it takes 3 years for people to realize, because the media shut down. Everything is fed by saying, oh, Lalit Modi is a fugitive. Okay, fine, I'm a fugitive, that's fine. But at the end of the day, what are you doing to the game? What have you done to stop it while I was gone? You have just taken it further into the ground. And it's not one person, it's a collective responsibility of the entire ICC that have allowed this to happen.
But as Mr. Srinivasan pointed out in the film, you yourself, he didn't want to say it, but I think we all got what he was saying, that you yourself attracted that controversy. So if you were sitting in that table in Dubai,
Yes.
what would you have done to persuade essentially the turkeys to vote for Christmas? Because that's what...
Okay,
that's
that's
what
what
it was.
happened. If you look at, when I chaired the finance committee, we said you've got to spread the game first and foremost to China and to the America and the rest of the world. You need to give more money. We don't need money as India, because we don't need it. We make enough money. So when we created the Champions League, I said the money should go to all the other boards. And what has happened? Last week they canceled the Champions League. Why? Because they wanted, and Mr. Srinivasan and the ICC decided the other members should lose the 500 million. It's not a small amount of money. So I did want to put in regulations that money should go to other countries. We wanted money to go after anti-corruption. Now you have $1 million or $1.5 million for a game that is for 1.5 billion people, and the anti-corruption office has a $1.5 million budget. I mean, how do you run an anti-corruption business?
Sam, yeah, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, it shouldn't really come down to who you believe between Lalit or Srinivasan. I mean, what we're talking about is a $1 billion game, multi-billion-dollar game, loved by billions of people, should have basic levels of governance.
That's
it shouldn't
right.
come down to individuals. Look, we are not painting Lalit in any way. You guys can make your own mind up about
That's
Lalit.
true. I think the
He
Wolf
said to us
Commission, the
that-
Wolf Commission report is essential in 100% to be adopted. For anybody to say that Lord Wolf has made a report that is not good, it's
Yeah.
absolutely just putting
But
water.
the point being is, it's not about the individuals, it's about sitting around that table and persuading people to give up their own self-interest.
The
And
Wolf
that's a
report,
very
but
difficult
that
thing
again-
to argue for
but
when,
you've got to
when you're part of
understand-
that self-interest.
But you've got to understand, if you look at all sporting bodies around the world, it's an all-boys club and has been an all-boys club. And you come to realize that getting into that, if you look at it, I mean, I'm going to raise a very controversial issue. Qatar should never have happened, but it's an all-boys club that made Qatar happen. So you will see things like this happening every day in every sport, which is decided by administrators, which is not good for the sport, but good for some other reason. And that's where the problem lies. And that's where the Wolf Commission report was to say we will take an independent view. This is how we should go forward, and we should go out and clean ourselves and be transparent. And that committee report was turned down. We commissioned the report. I was on the committee that commissioned the report years before.
So just lastly, Jarrod and Sam, before we go to you wonderful people, in terms of what you want to happen to cricket, what we saw at the last moments of the film there, we've seen this, of course, Manchester United supporters wrestled up against the debts of the Glazer family. We've seen, of course, I mean, this is probably the only film that will make Sepp Blatter feel good about himself, I can imagine,
That's
after
true.
seeing this.
I can tell you he will
where
feel good.
even
They're
he
brothers in
fears
arms.
to tread. But do you genuinely believe that punters, us who love cricket, can affect that change when faced with these massive amounts of money?
Absolutely, just don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
The point is that we're sitting here, we're come to you guys because the cricket media have not done their job.
And
That's
they will
what
not
we're
do it.
saying. And for whatever reason, they
You
haven't
saw
done
the
their
accreditation
job.
being taken off.
So
And you
you,
will see that happen again and again.
what we're
I'd like to see him try and do that to blowers, quite frankly. Yeah.
what we're saying to you guys here is, look, make your own minds up, but at least be aware this is happening. And in 10 years' time, accept the fact that if in 10 years' time the game that we love, none of us can recognise it, that you guys are playing a part in that as well. Because it's up to all of us to stand up and do something about it. Now, what we've seen, documentaries can make a difference. This documentary is just a smaller part of a much bigger thing, which is the survival of a global game. Now, our campaign, if Hansi will stand up, you guys have got to, this is what we are trying to do. This is all we can give to the game that has given us so much. So we can give this and hopefully something to direct, for people to direct their anger to. Well, anger is the wrong word, but because it's not anger, passion. That's the point. Anger is totally the wrong word. We're through that. Direct your passion towards this. Ask questions. Go to your local politicians. Say, why is nothing being done about this? Why is FIFA an issue and this not an issue? A multi-billion-dollar game being run by a bloke with direct links to match fixing, shrinking its World Cup, not taking free money from taking cricket to the Olympics.
I should be an Olympic sport without doubt.
Why are these decisions being made?
No.
Absolutely not.
I mean, the biggest problem with that is, and this is what accountability really is at the end of the day, we're talking about, as Lalit said, there's $2 billion being bet today, but cricket is worth somewhere between probably $5 and $7 billion. I've not seen any accounts that says where all that money is going, so how can I be confident where it's going? All I know is that they completely changed the entire structure of how cricket was run, and then they told us not to worry about it, it was only a draft. If they're saying that about that, what are they doing with the actual money? So I do worry about that a lot.
So what's the great stat that the ICC in 2011 spent more money flying their diplomats to the 2000 Test match than they awarded to the best Test team in the world. So I think there's quite a lot of nice wine being drunk.
They spend more money per meeting than the annual budget of the anti-corruption unit. I think what has happened is the money has become so big and has attracted and the problem is that there is a ban by the BCCI of anybody talking against the BCCI or talking against Mr. Srinivasan, and that ban is implemented. It's not a hearsay ban, it's actually an actual ban that no player, no commentator, no administrator can talk against, and that has affected the lives of people, and that's what people are afraid to do, is because it affects their livelihood, it affects their children, it affects their day-to-day life, and nobody wants to talk about it because everybody is afraid. Everybody knows the truth. Off camera, they'll all talk to you and tell you, but nobody will come on camera, and that's the problem.
And there are a lot of people who are really bad at their jobs here as well. I
Yes.
mean, we're talking about administrators. Their job is to grow a global game. They're really, really bad at it.
And when
not just sinister characters. They're just incompetent.
And when people turn around and say that
Which is worse.
I'm administrating for my country, no, you're right, you're administrating for your country, but when you're sitting on the table of a global cricket, you're administrating for the sport globally. And your job as an administrator at the ICC is different from your job as an administrator at the ECB. Yes, you will take the ECB interest along, without doubt, but your job is to make sure you protect the integrity of the sport first. If you lose the integrity of the sport in the first place, what do you have left in the to come back to?
We left a lot on the cutting room floor. No, but seriously, I mean, I don't think there's anything in there which really, we're not depicting hands in the till like FIFA. We're depicting a system where if that continues, that sort of stuff is inevitable. And really, what we're showing is, I suppose, it's a moral scandal, a game which is loved by so many people, which is supposed to stand for something being hijacked. I mean, what have you got?
I mean, for me, the most important thing at the moment is we have possibly the best story that's ever happened to cricket in Afghanistan cricket. They've come into the World Cup wearing the shirt now.
Without doubt.
The way that we are running cricket right now, we are making sure that they cannot play in a World Cup, and at the same time, the person who's running cricket is Mr. Srinivasan, who's directly linked to match fixing. Now, for me, that shows that there's something massively wrong here, and that's, I suppose, it doesn't really matter what happens to me and Sam, and we just have to make the best film and get people involved.
To be fair, I think again we've given Giles right to reply. I mean, every reaction you guys have had to Giles Clarke is just Giles Clarke talking to the camera. I mean, we have just shown you. We've just shown you the decisions that he's made. Do you trust that Giles Clarke knows how to run a game? This is a bloke who thought that Alan Stanford was a good idea. This is a bloke that thought that Mr. Srinivasan is a good idea. This is a bloke who doesn't think that cricket needs the Olympics because England can't spare 2 weeks of its cricket season every 4 years. This is a bloke who thinks that, so this is what we're saying is like, look, really, it's over to you guys now. It really is, because we can't just be 2 or 3 or however many blokes sitting on a stage getting frustrated about this,
So
if you
people
guys
have
care,
Twitter, people have
yeah.
Facebook, people have social networks. What do you want them to do? Again, let's have this reminder as this last part.
You know, read the cards you've got on your seat. Go out of the cinema, spread the word, tell people about this, join our campaign, sign our petition. You know, we're bypassing the cricket media who are not going to write anything about this. We're taking this to you guys directly. We're taking this to the wider political world. You know, let's change some stuff because it's a great game and it needs our help.